I don't know what's happening with this angle. I'm trying the light on a different setting, and I know I'm a little bit closer, and I think a little bit possibly lower or higher than usual, but I'll fix it.
This is Halloween, this is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
I didn't really think this was going to become a story time channel. I don't really have a lot of interesting stuff that happens to me. It's more like once in a blue moon after puberty, something slightly interesting happens. This was one of those rare times that something interesting that was not beneficial to my mental health actually happened. I think for the sake of the fact that this story is very dramatic, we need a drama llama, but I don't own a llama, so here's a drama alpaca. I named him FP after the character from Riverdale because I have fallen in love quite quickly. Not with FP, but with Riverdale. I named him FP just because, you know, I ship FP and Alice really hard. Am I the only one? Sound off in the comments below if you ship it. I need to know if I'm the only one here. Go back to your home. Okay, anyway. As I am filming this video right now, it is February of 2018. This story took place in the summer of 2017. This is a story of a, quote, teeny tiny, barely talking relationship that I had with a girl that I met on a dating website. I don't meet girls anywhere else, I think. No. So I met this girl on Tinder because I don't want to die alone. And it was one of my very first mutually swipe right situations. I'm like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 4. I'm like a solid 4 with makeup and candlelight instead of fluorescent light and fresh hair dye and waxed brows. Swap candlelight out for complete darkness. In my head, I sometimes maybe possibly a little bit kind of can be slightly attractive. But all the girls that I'm swiping on Tinder or Bumble or anything else are always like straight up 10s. This girl was definitely out of my league. I don't remember how her Tinder bio read, but it was something geeky and nerdy, and she was very girl next door cute, and she lived within 100 miles of me, and I am again very desperate. So I swiped right on her thinking that nothing was actually going to happen because nobody actually ever swipes right on me because I'm a potato with legs. I'm waiting for my glow up because I want to be a french fry. But like the really good seasoned kind that doesn't even need ketchup, like from Rowley's, you know what I mean? Not me. And so we get to talking and things go incredibly fast. Part of that is my fault, part of that is her fault. I will take responsibility for the fact that part of the reason it went so fast is I used to be in a very bad headspace where I would take relationships from not to 100 very, very quickly due to past experiences with a very difficult relationship. So I realized quite quickly that things were going very, very south. We were kind of talking like a couple even though we had never met in person. And as far as I remember, we had never spoken on the phone and we had never FaceTimed or Skyped. Red flag all over the place. So we're talking for about a month and we decide that we are gonna make plans and we're gonna go and we're gonna hang out. We did not want it to be a date. We did not want to classify it as a date because we had never met in person before. We were going to classify it as just meeting and hanging out, and then we would go on a date later if we thought we clicked emotionally. So we decided we're gonna do something simple like hang out at Walmart. I need to give her a fake name. Amanda. You guys remember the Amanda show? Like Amanda Bynes? I miss the 90s, you guys, I'm just saying. Back to the main point. Amanda is the fake name we're going to give her. So we make plans to hang out on a specific day. I believe it was like a Saturday or something. At the time, I was unemployed. So my schedule was pretty free and clear 100% of the time, so we were rolling by her schedule. For whatever reason that really doesn't come to mind, she blew me off. I can't remember why. I've tried to rack my brain for a couple of days now ever since I thought about coming up with the idea of this video, and I really can't remember why. But whatever it was something stupid that I just couldn't wrap my brain around, but because I'm desperate and don't want to die alone, I accepted the fact that she was blowing me off and we just rescheduled for the next Saturday. So we rescheduled for the next Saturday, and I specifically remember I was just kind of bebopping around town with my mom and my brother, waiting for her to text me and say, hey, I'm heading to Walmart. And I remember ending up at Krispy Kreme because this girl texted me and said, I can't make it, my dad wants to go to my grandmother's house. Now, the reason that she could not just tell her dad, no, I can't go, I already have plans, is because Amanda was in the closet to most people. Her sister knew, and about 80% of her friends knew. There were still some people who did not know, which included her older brother and her parents. I had talked to her sister a little bit on Twitter, and from what I understood of their family, her parents would not approve of the situation, and her brother was the kind of kid that had friends who thought it was cool to be homophobic. I understood what it meant to be in the closet but still want to have a relationship before you're ready to tell people. I did the exact same thing, and part of the reason that I started coming out to people when I was 17 was because I was in love with a girl, and I was tired of not telling people who mattered to me that I was in love with said girl. Sometimes when you come out of the closet, you sometimes need a reason. I've known a lot of people who came out just because they were tired of being in the closet and they wanted to be out. And I've known several people who, like me, came out because they had something pushing them, like a relationship. Amanda brought it to my attention that she didn't want to have to come out to her parents before she had a reason. She told me that she didn't want to come out to them until she was in a committed relationship with a girl she thought she was going to be with for a long time, because she had had a prior relationship with another girl that didn't work out and she never told anybody. And so I just kind of hit that point of wanting to give up completely on the situation, because this was now the second time that she was blowing me off. I'm often very, very split into two people because I'm just crazy. There is the part of me who wants to be about absolutely everything and take the road that you ride on a broom that's on fire and covered in shit that you drop onto everybody else below you in Asshole. Then there's the other side of me, which is very much a dumb human being who gives a million chances to people even when she has a bad feeling about it. And that side of me often gets me into trouble with people who don't deserve my time, who hurt me, who take advantage of me, and it's the side of me that got me doing people's homework for them in high school. And in that moment, I was very much a split personality person. Over here, Wicked of the West is wanting to just completely burn down whatever bridge I was building with Amanda and not talk to her anymore. You've blown me off for, 2 weekends in a row, and you burned your bridge. You're gone. You're done. The other side of me is thinking, sometimes it really does happen, and you really can't control when it does. And there's been instances where it has just happened to me, and I couldn't help that. I am creating so much work for myself by swearing so much. And in this situation, while the Wicked of the West and the dumb of Kentucky were fighting with each other, the dumbass won, and I decided to give her another chance after I had just been blown off for the second time in a row. I was, of course, still very upset at this point, and I was having some very real trust issues, because at this point I was kind of believing that maybe she was a catfish, or that maybe she wasn't actually into me and was just messing with me. Maybe she had a girlfriend or a boyfriend, or maybe she just was a bad person. I don't know what I was thinking. I just remember specifically sitting in Krispy Kreme with my mom and my brother and just looking at her excuses on my phone and feeling really sick about it. And I try now at this point in life to realize that usually if I look back at things that ended horribly with a person, whether it was romantic or platonic, I at some point had a really bad feeling about my friendship or relationship with them at some point in time prior to the situation blowing up in my face. So I need to learn to listen to my instincts and stop being a goody two-shoes so often and not be afraid to say no. But at this point in time, I was still 21 years old and I wasn't dealing with a lot of things that I should be dealing with emotionally. And I was just kind of denying myself all hope of happiness. The long story short of what I was dealing with, in order for you to be able to understand this story, is I had previously, when I was younger, been in a very toxic and abusive relationship with a girl that I was very much in love with. And due to that, I grew up to be somebody with a lot of baggage and a lot of trust issues and a lot of pain. And I need a lot of help because of that. And she knew that. And she kind of continued to push my buttons anyway and push her limits and her boundaries with me, which now that I look back at it is not a nice person and it's not somebody you want to potentially end up in a relationship with. So a couple more weeks go by and we decide we are going to try one last time to meet up. And I told Amanda, you know I have trust issues. You've blown me off twice already. If you blow me off today, I'm deleting your number. Like, I'm just not gonna deal with this anymore. And she said she understood that and she promised she was gonna be there. Well, I found out after I got there that apparently she was lying about where she was. I assumed she was just gonna say she was meeting up with a friend or, you know, somebody she met on the internet, whatever. Apparently her parents were not very into the meeting people off of the internet thing, and they were under the assumption she was just grocery shopping alone, which I tried to understand because she was in the closet, and I did tell her that I was okay with whatever she needed to say or do because she wasn't comfortable coming out yet. So I worked with that and I was okay with that, but in the back of my head I still felt kind of gross about being a secret. The other reason that I found it slightly odd was she was over 18. She was like, I want to say 19, 20 years old. I can't remember specifically now. I've blocked it out most of the time. But she was definitely like 19, 20 years old. And I found out later during this date, her parents had a LoJack on her phone. And they would check it periodically. And if she wasn't where she said she was, they would call her and threaten to call the police. That's parents who need to let go, ladies and germs. So we go, and because I'm stereotypical witchy, we met up in the candles section. And I met her, and she was who she said she was, and we were very awkward, as most people are when they meet on dating apps and then meet in real life. And then we were standing there talking for about 25 to 30 minutes before her mother texts her and informs her she is coming into the Walmart that we are in with the homophobic brother to find her so they can do all their grocery shopping together. First of all, why do I keep having these instances of Walmart? Like, for those of you who saw my first Kiss with a Girl video, that was in a Walmart. This was in a Walmart. I don't understand what... I need to stop going to Walmart. I'm gonna shop at Target from now on. I like Target. So then I kind of have this moment as the person who's not only older but is already out of the closet. I kind of become this Zen Master Shifu person. I'm just kind of standing there nodding as she's freaking out. Because she doesn't know what to do. And I keep telling her to do what feels right. And she keeps saying she doesn't feel ready to come out to her mom. And her mom will tell her dad. And there's no way to hide it from the brother because he's there with the mom. And I did not want to be part of the situation, quite honestly. I liked the girl and I felt bad for her and she was nice, and even if we never ended up in a relationship, I wanted to be friends with her. And I understood what it was like to be in the closet to the people that are closest to you and to feel this pressure to come out, not only to yourself and to the person you're interested in, but to your community as a whole to come out. But something that she did not seem to understand was the words coming out of my mouth were, "Don't come out until you're ready." And she felt more and more pressured to come out because not only had I come all the way to this Walmart that was about a half hour away from my house for her, but she was about 35 minutes late. And it was the third time we had attempted to meet up. She, I suppose, was under the impression that if she sent me away and pretended like we weren't there together and like she didn't know me, that was it, it was off the table, and that I just wouldn't talk to her anymore. There, to me, is a big difference between not showing up at all and being suddenly potentially outed. I was not gonna stop talking to her because her mother suddenly showed up. And she knew that because I repeated it to her over and over and over again. I repeatedly said to her, I will call someone to come pick me up because I do not drive, and I will text you, and we will just keep texting until things eventually fall into place. I then, like the wise Master Yoda that I am, told her things happen for a reason, and that if her mother was showing up now, it meant that this was not our time to spend together, and that the universe works in mysterious ways. She took that as, this is the universe telling you you have to come out right now. If that is what the universe told her, go right ahead. That's what the universe told you. I believe in the universe speaking to us in the moment. But what happened next wasn't okay. She told her mother exactly where she was and told me to stay. Something that you, my ladies and gentlemen and non-binary individuals, need to understand is that I have severe anxiety on all levels. She knew this. She knew I had a very intense anxiety disorder, and it became this really weird fight between me and her, which actually was more like a fight between the wicked of the West and the dumb of Kentucky, saying, you need to get the out of there, this has absolutely nothing to do with you, and you were gonna have a panic attack and you stay, versus how could you leave her alone in this, she needs help. And then they clashed and they blew up, and I eventually lost all choice in the situation when her mom and her brother suddenly came into the aisle. And I was just kind of standing there. Something I should express to you is she made it very clear to me that her parents were kind of old-fashioned and conservative and didn't really understand people who were different. I would like to point out that I was standing there with most of my hair buzzed off, and what was there was bright purple. I had on very dark eyeshadow that I think was like borderline gray-black, black lipstick, and I had very visible tattoos and sharp black acrylic nails. And everything from here down that I was wearing was all black, including my combat boots. And I just stood out so hard, looking like the lost member of My Chemical Romance. And then her mother just kept staring at me like she thought I worked there or was Satan. Because Amanda kept saying, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you. And her mom just kept taking the stuff from her own grocery cart and putting it into Amanda's grocery cart. And her mother just wasn't wrapping it around her brain that her kid was continuously saying, I need to talk to you, I need to talk to you, I need to talk to you. Eventually, she kind of a little bit louder goes, Mom, I need to talk to you. And she goes, okay, what? And she goes, I can't say it with, I don't remember the brother's name. I can't say it with Farfig Newton here. I made that up because my mom says that a lot when she can't think of a name to say for something. And she expressed she couldn't say it in front of her brother, and then her mom suspiciously looks at the brother, and then the brother's acting like, oh, what did I do? And so then he walks off, and the mom looks at her and then notices I'm still standing there, kind of smiles at me, and I look at Amanda and I'm like, I'm gonna go. And she said, no, you stay here. I'm like, no, I really think I shouldn't be here for this. This has nothing to do with me. And she says, yes, it has everything to do with you. You stay here. I, at this point, am picking at my nails, breathing quite heavily, about to have a panic attack. But I'm so overly nice of a person that I can't leave. I can't seem to move because she claimed she needed me there. This is where it got kind of immature, and I don't mean that in a rude way, because I understand completely, as someone who has had to come out to their family and their friends, how hard it is to come out. You can have an influx of different emotions depending on who you're coming out to. Like, you know, it could be an influx of things that you expect on a good level, like happiness and joy and relief. And you can feel like there's just this weight lifted off of you and you're just really, really happy. There's also the other end of it where you kind of expect, you know, just sadness and fear and nerves and anxiety. And you just feel like you're gonna vomit and you almost want to blurt it out and get it over with. But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is I understand how difficult and humiliating and hard and kind of, I almost want to say, self-loathing of a feeling it is to have to come out. And I understand that it was so hard for her to come out. But she did it in the weirdest way possible, because she told me, the gothic-looking stranger in the corner in this aisle in Walmart, not to leave, and then looked at her mother and said, "Can you guess what I have to tell you? Can you guess what I have to tell you?" It's a good thing this wasn't my mama. Because if I had said that kind of thing to my mama, she'd have gotten real mad. Like, you're wasting my time. I have grocery shopping to do. What are you like, are you buying drugs? What are you doing? My mom would have gotten real mad at a waste your time question like, can you guess what it is I have to tell you? Maybe I was just raised by someone who's incredibly impatient and don't like to play games, I don't know, but my mama would have gotten real mad, and that's all I could think about as this was going on. So then her mother says no, and says, "Amanda, will you just tell me what's going on?" And she then says, "No, I want you to guess." I, at this point, am getting more uncomfortable, more anxious, and a little bit off that she's making her mother guess what the we're doing there. And I don't want to make it sound like I don't respect the fact that this was really hard for her, because I do. But at this point, she's wasting her time, my time, and her mother's time, and probably her brother's time, who's standing in another aisle. And it started to feel kind of weirdly disrespectful, and I was really uncomfortable, and it was very obvious that I was very uncomfortable. So after another, like, 5 or 6 minutes of her playing this take a guess game with her mother, she, and I am not kidding, looks at the ground, gestures to me like this, and without taking a breath or stopping to put a space between any of her words, she says, "I'm buying, I'm seeing her," but like a lot lower. So 100% of what happened was, "I'm buying, I'm seeing her." Let's play that back one more time. "I'm buying, I'm seeing her." First of all, seeing her is a very strong term in my head, because we had not even been on a real date yet. We had met each other 30 some odd minutes prior. Ish, like less than an hour ago in a Walmart. I'd known her fully for like less than a month and a half, maybe. To me, if you're seeing someone, to me there's levels. There's, I have been on a date with someone. It means one date. I'm casually dating someone, or I'm going on dates with someone, means you've gone out on dates with them, you're kind of into them, but you're still playing the field, you're free to date other people, and you're not official yet, but you're getting to know each other. Seeing someone means that you haven't done the official relationship thing where you're so official your relationship is on Facebook, but you're also not so casual that you're still seeing other people. I was nowhere near the level of commitment it takes to be seeing her. We were talking, and it was at this point that I crapped my pants completely, because then her mother's eyes, whew, right on me. I physically, my jaw dropped, and I couldn't believe that was how she worded it and how weird she made it. And so I tried to make it less weird, and I was like, "Hi." Which I think made it more weird, because I was just that creepy person who was like, "Hi," at her. So if you're keeping up, I had to stand there while a girl I had only known in person for an hour came out to her mother in front of me. I would have been less upset had I pooped my pants in public. I would have been less upset had she taken a shit in my combat boots. But because I am a very anxious person with low self-esteem, I believed that my feelings did not matter in that moment, and I still had not walked away. Her mother then said a bunch of stuff that is blurred in my mind, because I just kind of zoned out and was having a very silent and very still panic attack. But from what I can remember, she said something along the lines of, they would talk about it later at home and you know you're gonna have to tell your father, right? She then said, well, do I have to? You're kind of a little late on that because you just told your mom, and she seems very, very intent on telling your dad. And then she said something along the lines of, if you don't tell your father, I will tell your father. She wasn't like very mad about it. It was more that she was very in shock and very confused, which most people would be if their kid suddenly came out as bisexual in the middle of a candle section of a Walmart. And then something that I couldn't quite fathom, this grown adult human being I was supposedly talking to, supposedly seeing, looked at her mother and said, so can I keep hanging out with her? People always wonder why I'm usually attracted to women who are older than me. Because I'm really, really attracted to maturity. I'm really, really attracted to stability. I am really, really attracted to a woman who has her together. This girl was showing zero amount of maturity because she was like 20 years old and just asked her mommy for permission to keep grocery shopping with me. She drove her own car to the store. She was buying the groceries with her own money. She had her own job. The only thing that her parents really held over her was that she lived in their house. But I don't see where that has anything to do with if she can hang out with another human being grocery shopping. And it was kind of at that moment that I was really, really turned off from the situation. Because when we had been talking and texting, she seemed very, very mature. Her sense of humor was very mature, and her thought process was really mature, and she was very complimentary and she was very kind. But she did it in a way that wasn't like a usual 19, 20-year-old would do, where it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. She just seemed emotionally very mature. And then it was just almost like I felt any interest of dating her drop during this scenario of having to watch her come out to her mom and then ask permission to continue grocery shopping with me. And I know that probably makes me sound like a jerk and it makes me sound petty, but I was just really turned off by the situation. I just wasn't in it anymore. But she still seemed like a cool person, and I was like, okay, maybe we can be friends. She apparently was not getting the vibe that I was still very, very uncomfortable, and I kind of just wanted to go home. And I said something to her about, I was kind of exhausted and blah, 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 and I just wanted to leave. She took that as I want to leave with you,